We can have some questions till we are ready to begin. Still, some time is there. Questions from yesterday, questions from today, or just in general, any questions you can ask. Yes.
Namaste, Swami. So when we talk about consciousness,
Cannot hear you.
So when we talk about sentient sentient beings who have like consciousness, and we say, okay, they are Brahman because consciousness is Brahman. How do we say that, let's say, the chair is Brahman? I mean, at least we perceive it.
Yeah. This is a good question. Chair is Brahman. What else? Table is Brahman. Rock is also Brahman. We have in the sentient beings, there is an ability to broadcast oneself. That chit is broadcast through the presence of what is called Sukshma Sharira. Sukshma Sharira, subtle body. The subtle body that has the prana, the mind, etc., is able to broadcast the chit, and therefore there is a difference. Chair is Brahman, rock is Brahman, but rock cannot say I rock. You can say I rock. So that is the difference. So the Sukshma Sharira is in keeping with the Sthula Sharira. The gross body and the subtle body are always matched. You will never find a goat Sukshma Sharira in a human Sthula Sharira. That would be very funny. One would be in a human body, but keep on climbing all the time, or doing all kinds of things. Suddenly keep saying ba like that, like the goat. That never happens. So it is the Maya Shakti's infallible projection of this universe, where the Sthula Sharira and Sukshma Sharira are matched. And then we find that certain things do not have Sukshma Sharira, so they are not able to have sentience. Consciousness is there, sentience is not there, because that sentience, for that sentience to be broadcast, that consciousness to be broadcast, we need a subtle body. So the presence or the absence of the subtle body decides the situation of whether the chair can say I am Brahman or not. And in a way it's good. Otherwise all the chairs will have a rebellion. Yes. They will say you have put on weight and you're eating too much and I'm tired of bearing your weight. Go on a diet. And the microphone will say, I am tired of listening to Vedanta and amplifying your words. In fact, I have a few things to say. And the microphone will wax eloquent on Satchit Ananda. That's another problem. Then what else do we have? Then the fork would say, I am hungry. So you put the food in the fork and it says Swaha. That's why it's good that we have an insentient universe for ease of transactability. Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Swami. I have a question. One of the challenges I have is to control the mind. Sometimes I feel I have thoughts which are racing or unnecessary, and I struggle. I struggle how to either reach a state of thoughts which I want to have, or sometimes I don't want to have any thoughts, just because the mind runs crazy. What is some of the Vedantic insights you might give us to make progress?
It is a good question because your situation is not alone. Your situation is similar to most people here. How do I know? Because while you were talking, everybody was nodding their heads. So that's how I know. Because I can see everybody. So thoughts are not the problem. Thoughts are nothing but Brahman. Absence of thoughts, the silence in between the thoughts is also what? Brahman. But why do we crave the silence? We crave the silence because we are unable to recognize thoughts as Brahman. So we need a little respite. There are many things we can do. The first thing we can do is to do what we talked about in the talks yesterday, which is to develop a rich inner life. When we cultivate a rich inner life, whatever is happening on the outside tends to slow down. The mind is a mimic of your desires, and your desire for cultivating a rich inner life, even though the mind may protest at first, it will calm down. It will come into a certain kind of tameness. We cannot control the mind. We need not control the mind. It just has to be available for us when we need, and that is the entire crux of Vedanta Shastra. On a more practical note, the mic is behaving like a gun. On a more practical note, you can start with this. I was going to talk about anyway, so I'll talk about it right now rather than in the sessions. You can start with 1 minute meditations. Because if you tell the mind, I'm going to sit for 48 minutes, which is one mandala, and I'm going to get japa siddhi, I'll become a master of japa, the mind will say, nice try, keep on dreaming. Dream on, darling, then mind will say to you. Your own mind will say to you. So it's not going to sit quiet because it's not ready to do that. Why? Because it is in the thicket of the forest of desires, untractable, unnecessary, unfulfilled, unfulfillable desires. Because there is no, we are beginners here. There is no commitment to a rich inner life. There is no cultivation of a rich inner life. And so the mind is just, has the habit of thinking. It is paid to think and it keeps thinking, even when it's not paid. You know, it may be paid to think in office hours, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, but it keeps thinking all the time, overthinking. This overthinking is a very important problem that needs to be addressed. And so, the best antidote for overthinking and for having too many thoughts that one cannot manage is to do 1 minute meditation to begin with. Don't quote me and say, oh, she tells only to meditate for 1 minute. No, that's not what I'm saying. To begin with, we have only 1 minute meditation. I call it OMM. Om, that's the acronym. So 1 minute you can do anything. You can do anything for 1 minute, no problem. No matter how uncomfortable, you can just bring the mind repeatedly to the mantra, and then each time there is a distraction, you bring the mind to the mantra, keep a little alarm, and then what will happen? It will just the alarm will ring. The mind will feel like it has been released from jail. It will say. But you keep doing this. Don't increase from 1 minute to 10 minutes. The mind will not cooperate. Don't even increase from 1 minute to 2 minutes. Do 1 minute twice a day. 1 minute 3 times a day. Then the mind will cooperate, and then before you know it, it has been tricked into meditating. It has been like a small child that doesn't want to go to sleep. It has been tricked into being tamed and being available there for you. Okay. Now, this watch that is here and that watch that is there is a 4 minute difference. What is the real time right now? 9:32. Okay, so I'm going to ignore that one over there then. This is the correct time which is here. All right? Yeah. So we'll start now. That you had a question, but we will do it during the break or during the question hour today. ॐ श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Please close the door and dim the lights. We will start with a meditation. And then after the meditation is complete, we will unpack the meditation to see what are the things of note and then what are the things that we have to imbibe from this. Sukham sthiram asanam. The seat is comfortable. And steady, not so comfortable that I go to sleep, and not so uncomfortable that I'm wriggling around all the time. Samam kaya shirogrivam, head, neck and back are in a single straight line. Eyes softly closed. Hands clasped on the lap to give stability to this posture. I begin by connecting to my breath, to my breathing. Being mindful that the length of the inhale and the exhale are roughly the same. With practice, just getting into the posture quietens the mind in anticipation of what is to come. It's like an auto suggestion. Just like the bell rings and the dogs salivate in anticipation of the food, similarly, we train the body to sit in this posture so that the mind immediately comes to a place of tranquility. Just a matter of training. And when I focus the attention on the breath, the mind naturally becomes quiet. Then I remind myself there is nothing to do, nowhere to go, nothing to gain, nothing to lose, nothing to fear, for I am right now safe, nothing to shun, for right now I am free, nothing to protect, for I am not in danger now, nothing to free myself from, for I am no longer bound. Soft is the breath that enters the nostrils. Softly it comes out. Soft is the heaving of the chest, stomach and abdomen. Soft is the face. Soft is the brow without wrinkles. Soft are the eyes behind the eyelids. Soft are the cheeks. Soft is the jaw. Soft is the tongue, heavy, sitting in the middle of the mouth. Soft are the shoulders. Soft is the mind, where the thoughts fall softly. Soft thoughts falling softly. Who am I? I am the watcher of all this softness. This softness is my reality. It is easy to go into this softness. Effortless it is to be soft. When I can remember, there is nothing to fight against. Even the shadows I fought against are asleep, resolved into the dark of the night, Ajnanam, to which I am bidding goodbye. I see the faint light of the dawn that is yet to come. The light of hope flickering in the mind. In this calm, Repose. I am the soft gaze of the Sakshi, the witness. Soft is the gaze that witnesses the body. And if there are critical thoughts coming, I gaze at them softly too. They settle down. Softly I go through the steps of externalizing what has been wrongly internalized. I visualize the Father as a 5-year-old boy. Perhaps I do not even know how he looked like, but I can certainly imagine 4 or 5 years old, innocent, small, defenseless, vulnerable. Can I look at the face of this child? Am I able to make eye contact? Perhaps this child, who then became the father, was scared, frightened, anxious, neglected. Can I look into the face of this child with the soft gaze of compassion and see a snapshot of this child as being free of guilt, hurt, pain, sorrow? Can I see that in time the calluses of hurts and pains grew up this baby into adulthood to become the father he is or was in my perception? Om Namaha, Om Namaha, Om Namaha, Om Namaha, Om. Mother, again, 4-year-old, 5-year-old child. I see her clearly. I can perhaps gaze at her softly. I can perhaps ask her some questions. How did you lead your life? What were the difficulties you had to endure? What are the things you internalized mistakenly? Soft is the gaze as I see them as adults, the parents, and knowing that they too had a background makes me a better person, a more emotionally equipped person, a more spiritually matured person. I may still have hurts, pains, sorrows centered around the parents, but this soft Sakshi makes me immune to those hurts. The Sakshi embraces the parents, embraces me. Ever present, never absent, Sakshi. Om Namaha, Om Namaha, Om Namaha, Om, Om, Om. Now I am 5 years old. The soft Sakshi, the adult self, gently looks at this 5-year-old child, me. I was not always like this. I knew how to trust. Before I was shown repeatedly that I could not. I knew how to play. I knew how to be spontaneous. I knew how to smile. I knew how to be joyful. Now, the 5-year-old me appears to be very far away. I can ask the 5-year-old, can you please teach me how to be you again? I can ask this child, dare I trust again? How can I grow up without becoming jaded, without becoming controlling, without becoming a drama king or queen, without becoming a ninja, offensive, defensive? Perhaps the answer from this child is simple. Perhaps she or he says, just be yourself. Be here now. The adult is scared. If I be here now, what will happen to all my responsibilities? If I am spontaneous, what will happen? If I am joyful, I may be misunderstood. If I am playful, somebody may take advantage of me. If I am in the present, what will happen to my future? I can't appear to let go of these thoughts which I call reason. From the child's perspective, it is not reason. It is an aberration to who I am, my Swarupa. I need help to go over this impasse. I invoke Ishvara as the psychological order that governs all my emotions, my anger, my sorrow, my guardedness, my fears, my hesitation, my lack of self-confidence. All this is included in this vast, humongous, colossal, unfathomable order. My body also is not outside the order. The 5 elements from which this body came, also not outside of the order, within the order. My mind, also within the order. My emotions are valid, they are within the order. My thoughts are within this order. My mind is included in this order. My buddhi is within this order. When I see myself included in this vast order, there is no such thing as my body, limited, finite, susceptible to diseases. There is no such thing as my mind, my emotions, my sorrow, my pain, my anger, my fear. All that there is one vast order, which at once is infallible. There is no mistake. Even disorder is part of the order. Such a mega order that does not brook any divisions, good, bad, order, disorder, it transcends them all. This is Ishvara. Who am I? The one that seems to have locked myself in a box and thrown away the key. I do not recognize myself now. Only thing to do is to cry for help. Let me out. Let me out of this nightmarish reality in which I appear to be trapped. Hey Bhagavan, the one who is manifest in the form of many, many, many orders: anatomical order, physiological order, psychological order, geographical order. When I now invoke you as the giver, as the author of the karmic order, my karma is included in this order. My punya, my papa is all part of this order. Vast, huge, one without a second. When I surrender to this altar, which is this mega order, Aneka Rupa Ishvara, first we have one particular form to which we pray, Eka Rupa Ishvara. But then we grow to embrace the universe as Ishvara. Now this Ishvara is in many, many forms. I can relate to Ishvara in the form of this order. Manifest Ishvara, manifold Ishvara. Aneka Rupa Ishvara. And if I'm included in all the orders, I'm no longer separate, unafraid, connected, whole. I pray, take away my smallness, take away everything that is small. Hey Bhagavan, let me know that I am indeed all. Take away the emotions that keep me bound. Give me the ability to let them go so that I don't keep going round and round. Take away my conflict. Take away the unrest. Let me instead grow to be my best. Take away the doubts that strangle me. Let me discover Shraddha and then truly be free. Take away the hardness. Fill me with compassion. So that I'm kind to myself and others in every action. Take away the confusion, take away the despair. As I grow to embracing myself, this is only fair. Take away the fears, take away the sorrow. Let me abide in myself without fear of tomorrow. Let my compassionate gaze touch everything in the universe. But let this compassion touch me first. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Hare. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. When you are ready, lights can come back on. Eyes can slowly open. Mantra Japam gives a say over the ways of the mind. This is the best antidote for a busy mind, a mind that is all over the place. Put it on a diet of mantra. Om Namah Shivaya. What's for breakfast? Om Namah Shivaya. What's for lunch? What's for dinner? Om Namah Shivaya. And in between you can have snacks of Om Namah Shivaya. Then the mind is available to you. If you think the mind is available to you now as a non-meditator, imagine how much more it will be available when you make this a regular practice. And the mantra japa first clears out the big trees and not trees, underbrush, overgrowth in this forest of the mind. And then after that, we take some fancy scissors and do some pruning so that it looks beautiful. This is called honing in to the japa, and we will demonstrate that in the next meditation session. But let us now see what we did just now compared to yesterday. Yesterday, it was basically following a certain script. Sparshan bahyan bahihi kritva. You observe this body, you observe the mind, you observe this senses, you think of the parents and see that they are internalized in the form of recalcitrant emotions, and you pray for those emotions to settle, at least be suspended for the time being, and eventually taken away. Now, little more. The flight to moksha has climbed higher. Is now at a more higher altitude, because you see, we did everything according to the script and then we took off from there, and usually we find that any kind of residual feelings with regard to the primary caregivers come from seeing them as adults, seeing them as thinking, feeling, acting, reacting, angry, sometimes loving, inconsistent, fallible adults. That is how we have seen them all our lives. That is how we continue to see them all our lives. In the mind of this person, namely oneself, this is the picture of the parents that is always there. But that's not true. It's like we have put the caregivers in a kind of a, like a static picture. This is what you are, this is what you did, and this is not okay, and I will never be okay because of what you did. And this is an impasse, a needless impasse. So one of the ways is to visualize the caregivers in the form of a small, innocent child. They too were children. They too were hurt at some point. By who? Their caregivers, or maybe their caregivers. Maybe this is how we see the familial patterns that we are carrying, and we need to let go, or that needs to let go of us, however the situation may be. So we see that and we appreciate that, because we are able to see, when you see the parents as small children, they become defenseless. They become vulnerable in my perception. They become innocent. They become free of all these things that I am carrying vis-a-vis them. Then this is all about inner duality. Resolving the inner duality, because that's what really ultimately matters. The Jagat is what it is. It does not matter. So now, when I see the parents as defenseless 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, then I see them in a new light. I see them in a compassionate light. And this compassion is not a patterned compassion, because there is also a codependent compassion, a patterned compassion. Oh, poor things, keeping on making excuses for them. No, this is not an excuse. This is an explanation. There is a difference. I'm not making excuses. Oh, poor things. This is how they are. This is why they are like this. Oh, poor things. That's not the point. Because if that's the message we take away from this meditation, you know what will happen? We'll start thinking that, oh, I am always, my whole life I have been making excuses for them. Now also you are asking me to make excuses for them. No. There is a difference between an excuse and an explanation. An explanation is objective, an excuse is subjective. Explanation is vyavaharika and excuse is pratibhasika, the subjective reality. We want to stay firmly in the vyavaharika without staying in the grounded empirical reality. We cannot go to paramarthika. We cannot abide in ourselves as the only thing, only reality that there is. There is no bypassing of this universe. The transcendence comes naturally. If I force myself to go from pratibhasika to paramarthika, it will not work. Therefore, I have to see things for what they are. This is how parents were. There was a time when they were also be able to be joyful. Maybe I saw them as very careworn and anxious, but they were joyful at one time. Maybe now they are all completely aged early and had so many responsibilities, but they too played in the mud, in the sand, in the water. They too played. They too did this. So, in a way, it frees me from that frozen notion of the parents that I carry. This is very important. That's the first thing it does. And the second thing it does is that it makes me free to relate to them. So, the next time, if they are in the body, or even if they are not in the body, the next time I think of them or relate to them, then there is a freedom. I can say, okay, this is how you behaved because of this. Ah, I see that. No excuses, an explanation. I see that, I move on. I see that, I have compassion, and I move on. But it's not enough to do that to just the parents or the caregivers or someone in your life right now. It is very important to do that to oneself as well. Because the compassion that is directed towards the whole universe is of no use at all if it is not at once directed towards oneself. Here there cannot be any compromise, because we have to understand this very, very clearly. Part of the problem of why Vedanta does not sit is because one is very hard on oneself. So through Vedanta, I learned to be compassionate towards the whole world. I soften my gaze, I hug everybody. And then there is an inner policeman, an inner cop sitting there with a whip and saying, what? You are an idiot, you'll never learn. What's wrong with you? How many times you'll make this mistake? Why don't you ever learn? When are you going to get this right? This is the inner child. In fact, I hate to break it, but what other way to break it? It's one of the many inner children. Yeah, not one or two, many. There will be many. And what is this inner child? The inner child is nothing but a concretized feeling that was not interrogated, not resolved, not healed. That is the inner child. And this inner child is also called the unconscious mind. And the unconscious mind is called unconscious because I don't know. Everything has a threshold. Everybody seems to have a threshold. Suddenly someone touches and then the other person is like a dynamite, explodes. And maybe then the other person realizes, I don't know what happened to me. I'm such a calm person. Why did I get angry all of a sudden? Why did I have this reactivity? What's wrong with me? You see, this is this is what happens when the unconscious mind is not interrogated. Meditation is a lovely place to deal with the unconscious mind, and we already touched on that a little bit. Why does the unconscious mind exist? If we were to ask that question, the answer would be that it is a gift from Bhagavan. It's part of the order. It's part of Bhagavan as the psychological order. Beautiful it is. Why? Because the child has no emotional development or the brain development to deal with complex feelings of abuse, neglect, fear, conflict, strife. It doesn't know. It doesn't know the meaning of fight between the parents, what they are doing, it doesn't know. It's just scared, that's all it knows. It's frightened. Here are two people I depend on and they are hitting each other. They are screaming at each other. Oh my God, I feel unsafe. That's all it knows. And if this unsafety is allowed to continue, the child can never grow up. Therefore, Ishvara's psychological order, which includes Maya Shakti puts a nice veil, avarana, over the unconscious mind. So that the child just laughs. It falls down. We've seen these children at play. Child is playing, falls down, cries, and then the parents distracted. No, look here, look there is a doggy, there is a birdie. And then the child starts to laugh, smile. This is how one grows up, stuffing everything below. But then the unconscious mind comes out when one is in some kind of a trustworthy, intimate relationship, a friendship, a marriage, some kind of a partnership, where it is finally safe enough to feel unsafe. It is safe enough to feel unsafe, so therefore all the unconsciousness comes out after the honeymoon period. Short honeymoon period where you find the inner child of the spouse very cute and the spouse finds your inner children very cute. They in fact even offer to babysit your inner children and you say, oh, this is a wonderful relationship. But then after that, everything goes awry. Everything goes awry. Why? Because finally it is safe enough to feel unsafe. Finally the brain has developed and I am capable of dealing with these emotions. Life after life can go away without dealing with these emotions unless one is serious about one's spiritual and well-being and growth. The emotions are not looked at all. One is born, one just screams at everybody, and then one dies only to make it happen in the next life and in the next and in the next. Here we are very fortunate for Vedanta Shastra, which talks about the unconscious mind, which is probably the first thing to talk about the unconscious mind. And simply Freud gets the credit. Actually, who should get the credit? The grand guru of Adi Shankara, Swami Gaudapadacharya, who talks about the unconscious mind in the Mandukya Karika very beautifully. He says that every mind has its shadow, Kashaya. Sakashayam Vijaniyat. Kashaya means, actually literally it means sludge. And it is used to, in Ayurveda, it means some kind of a tonic with many herbs and everything. It's like a fever reducer. Ayurvedic Tylenol is kashaya. And it is just, I cannot even describe the taste. Yes. From my face you can see that I have been subjected to this kashaya in childhood. And then they will, in the older days, they used to cut out certain pieces of paper to mark the dose. This much you should drink. And they would stick it at the back of this brown colored bottle. Shake well before use. And then you take it, and then you wish you had just dealt with the fever instead of taking the kashaya. So the elders would always have some sweet thing to give to the child immediately after taking this. And it was very viscose and sludgy. This is a very nice image for the unconscious mind. Not tasty, viscose, sludgy body of emotions that I do not know what is there, and oh no, I'm not going to open this box, I don't want to see this. I don't want to understand this. And who knows how many inner children are there, each one terrible emotion, complex emotions. I cannot do this at all. In fact, we should quickly sweep it under the rug and move on. That's the tendency. And this unconscious mind cannot be resolved without help from that same order which put it into play. I didn't make the unconscious mind. It's Bhagavat Srishti, Ishvara's projection. And so, if it's Ishvara's projection, where do I go for this projection to be retracted? Back to the projector. That's what I have to do. Like, who is Ganesha? The one who puts obstacles in the path, and then the one who removes the obstacle also. Mind you, here it is within this Vyavaharika Satta. In this Vyavaharika Satta, in this empirical reality, I am a helpless, hopeless being. And this helpless, hopeless being relates to the altar of all help and all hope. That resolution is important. Needing that help, taking that help, requires that I mint myself in the interim as a devotee. We know a lot about various kinds of devotees described in the Bhagavad Gita. The 911 devotee who only prays when there is an emergency. And the deal-making devotee who promises a sari to the goddess if life becomes prosperous. Then we have the mumukshu, the devotee who does not see Bhagavan as a means to an end, but an end in itself. That is the third kind of devotee which we need to be. Who are you? How are you manifest as the psychological order? Where do all these emotions come from, and why are they like shackles that keep me bound? What can I do to take them away? Teach me that. This is the only prayer for the mumukshu. The mumukshu needs to ask only for this and nothing else. Because based on this is everything. And therefore, this unconscious mind, first we acknowledge that it's part of the psychological order of Ishvara. Already there is a respite. Thank God I'm not responsible for it. Second, I pray for it. I pray for the strength to be able to deal with this, to be able to overcome this. And thirdly, how do I deal with this unconscious mind? I have to become a parent. In the meditation, we practiced the soft adult Sakshi looking compassionately at the 3-year-old, 5-year-old child. This is what I have to do for every unconscious avatara in the form of anger, fear, sorrow, anxiety, jealousy, greed, pride. What is that? Those 6 things. What are they? Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada. What's the 6th thing? Matsarya, jealousy. Jealousy comes at the last of this list because it is the hardest to give up. And so one grows as a result because one is in the adult Sakshi mode. You can tell yourself, for the next 1 hour, Sakshi mode activated. Yes, you tell yourself that. You press a little button somewhere and tell yourself, I have activated the soft Sakshi mode. SSM mode has been activated. And then you look at this child. That's the same way as you might have looked at your child when it was throwing a tantrum in front of the toy shop. The parents are helpless. The parents cannot reason with the 2-year-old and say, you know what, I told you you could have one thing and then you have this one thing and now you are fighting for another thing. You can't have this thing. And now we need to go because we need to reach home. We are having guests. We have to be there. The child doesn't care. The child doesn't understand anything. Nothing at all. No reasoning possible for either the outer child or the inner child. It is too small. Sometimes it is pre-lingual. It doesn't even know language. But what will the mother and the father do? The mother and the father will look kindly upon the child. They will look at each other, they will look at it kindly, they will just smile, they will wait for it to finish its tantrum and then carry it home. Sometimes you have to carry it home kicking and screaming. You are not kicking and screaming, the child is kicking and screaming. You feel like kicking and screaming, but you are not. Okay? This is exactly what you have to do to the inner child. You have to look at it with softness and love and compassion. But frequently what happens, you become the inner child because there is an identification which is so strong. This is the beginnings, these are the beginnings of Nididhyasana. Is getting over and not coming under the spell of those identifications. Not coming under the spell of those identifications, you are able to watch dispassionately and compassionately. First dispassionately and then compassionately watch this child. The child is just a body of anger, the angry child. You cannot even ask it, why are you angry? It doesn't know, it's just angry. It has been triggered. Second thing to know is what was happening immediately before the onslaught of these inner children. What was happening? Was there a tone of voice that was the trigger? Was there somebody that looked like the primary caregiver? That was the trigger? Perhaps the trigger was in some kind of a memory of a place, a time that was unsafe. These are the things we have to think about. And sometimes the answer may not come. It's okay, it can still be resolved. But I have to stay in the parent mode, soft Sakshi mode, which is the parent mode. I have to reparent this inner child so that Vedanta will not only go in but stay in. It's not enough for Vedanta to go in. Go in means what? It goes out one ear and boomerangs back from that same ear back to the teacher. This is what will happen if the inner child is not interrogated. The inner child has to be not got rid of, has to be loved up and integrated into the adult. This is very, very, very important. The inner child has to be embraced. And usually what happens, it becomes very difficult because I hate the part of me that is angry. I cannot stand the part of me that is unhappy. I cannot handle me, the me which is jealous. I cannot handle me which is arrogant. I cannot handle me that has needs or is greedy or needy. That's why it becomes, there is a kind of a conflation with the inner child. So many times we start the inner child work only to just begin, crying along with the memory. That won't help. You have to still continue to be in the soft sakshi mode, in the parent mode, in the adult mode. And if you're not able to do that, take a break, jump around in place, go for a walk, come back, do some cooking, cleaning, whatever it is. Change the channel, come back and do this. A very rewarding work it is, because over time you will find that the triggers are fewer and less intense, and recovery time from the triggers are also quicker. You will find that this is happening. And so this inner child work constitutes nididhyasana, constitutes a very big part of nididhyasana, because what is viparita bhavana? Because what is the definition of nididhyasana? Viparita bhavana nivritti. Going from wrong habits. I know I'm Brahman, but I still get angry. Oppositional habits, habitual orientations. And what is the habit? The habit of the inner child is to constantly be triggered if it is not healed. So nididhyasana, a major part of nididhyasana is healing this kashaya, which Gaudapadacharya talked about very, very well. Sakashayam vijaniyat. Know that every mind has the unconscious shadow component with it, because it is Ishvara Srishti. It is not Jiva Srishti. I did not make the unconscious mind. It was already there. It was there as a protection for the child, so it's an act of compassion by Mother Maya, the goddess. It's a Shakti. So that I can resolve it at my own sweet time when I have the wherewithal to resolve it. Sakashayam vijaniyat. Sampraptva navichalayet. Navichalayet. Don't take a stick and probe into the sludge. Yeah, it's a swamp. If you take, in Georgia, I used to live in Georgia, and there was this Okefenokee swamp. I didn't go there, not too interested in swamps. But then it's some kind of a protected place. There is mud bubble and everything. The swamp has its own beauty. But then, if you take a big stick and start dredging the swamp, what will come out? Swamp creatures. Same thing with the inner swamp. You deal with what comes out. You don't go looking for, while I'm dealing with this, let me take care of a few more inner children. You don't go doing that. That will make you sick. Don't do that. You just go there. Sampraptva navichalayet. Let it be, let it be, let it be. Just let it be. Allow it to just be. Whatever comes up, you deal with. Doesn't matter. Let it take time. What are you doing anyway? Let it take time. This is the most important work. Let it take time. And then looking at that child, just like as we did for now we go back to that meditation. When we unpack it, we see we were not just divesting the parents of the perceived power, but we were also looking at the inner children of the parents and the inner children of oneself. Now, the unconscious has two components. One is the unpleasant component, which we finished off first, but there is a pleasant component which makes one nostalgic for previous times. The mind goes away, the eyes glaze and stare off into the distance. I'm no longer available. I'm in the past. when I felt safe, when I felt happy, when I felt loved, when I felt cocooned. In fact, I never wanted to become an adult, but here I am, I have to deal with all these things. And then the present is gone. For that also Gaudapadacharya has a very wonderful statement. Nasvadayet rasam tatra. So whatever comes out from the unconscious, the mud bubbles of pain or the fragrance of joy, whatever comes, do not indulge in them. Be the parent. Na asvadaye, do not taste the good or the bad. Do not taste means you become one with it. Do not become one with it. Stay in the sakshi mode. Nissango prajnaya bhavet. May one become asanga. Asangoham, asangoham, asangoham punah punah Satchidananda Swarupoham ahameva avyayah. Asanga doesn't mean detached. Detached, the word you use only when there is attached. We say you are unattached to anything, unafflicted, unafraid, unconnected to anything the Atma, the I is. So where is the question of detachment? Asanga means uninvolved I am. No involvement. Whatever is going on, I am in what? Soft Sakshi mode. Compassionate Sakshi mode. And then what happens is that you find that there is a higher vantage point of abidance in oneself as oneself, and the staying power in the I increases exponentially. More we'll see after a 15-minute break. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.